this episode of the Prophetic Worship Podcast, join Louise Reid and myself as we discuss what it is to do worship, to lead worship that includes both men and women and encourages the sound of men to rise in the earth. We'll see you there. Hello and welcome to the Prophetic Worship Podcast. I am Ali McFarlane and today I am joined by the glorious, amazing human being that is Louise Reid. How are you doing, Louise?
I am good, Ali. I'm on the tail end of a bit of a dose, so you can probably hear it in my voice. I'm a little bit down low.
Yes.
I can sing notes that I can't normally sing. It's quite something.
That's quite nice. Have you serenaded Nigel with those low tones?
Old Man River is one of my specialities just now. But I'm good.
Great.
I'm good. It's great to be here with you.
It's fun. We've actually just spent a whole weekend together.
We have.
In the beautiful nation that is Northern Ireland.
We were in Northern Ireland.
Make sure that we don't offend anyone by just saying Ireland. Northern Ireland.
Yeah, we were in the north.
We were in the north and we were doing freedom from Freemasonry. So a lot of deliverance.
We had a whole day of deliverance, and the night before we had worship and prophetic release for Ireland, for the whole of Ireland, north and south, for the island of Ireland. So that was awesome night, incredible prophetic release. We had Emma Stark with us.
Yeah.
And strong time.
It was
and
very
a full
good.
house.
A full
house both Friday night and Saturday. They were up for it.
Seriously.
Yeah.
We actually, this is not on topic. This is not what we're talking about
No.
today. But it was such an interesting experience for me.
Yeah.
Because as a worship leader going into Northern Ireland, I expected that what I would hit would be religion. And it wasn't.
Yes, not in that group that came.
Not in there at all. I hit some other things that I'm not sure that I have words for. Yeah. I certainly hadn't come across it before. So I was kind of...
Well, I think what we hit was probably what you hit in most places at the moment, which is... we really don't know how to get further. We don't know how to worship further. We don't know how to get beyond our habits and our constructs. And if we'd had longer, we could have worked with that.
Yes.
But we didn't have longer. It was a short, sharp shock.
Yeah.
And
I did wish that we had like 3 days.
Yes.
Like a 3-day conference we could have done.
Yes.
A lot of journeying.
Because in one worship set, you're really only understanding atmosphere, where people are at.
Yeah. It's really a fact-finding mission.
Absolutely. The first session. Second session, in fact, the Saturday morning, we did start to break things open a little. But you then discover where people's happy places are in worship. There are pockets of where they go, this is where I feel most alive. But in fact, it's not really the place of life. It's the place of the history of life.
Yeah, it's good.
And where they know they have found Jesus, they have found the flow of the Spirit previously. And then the trick is to be able to bounce from there onto something more and the trajectory of the Spirit. We didn't really have time for that.
No, I did my absolute best to pull out any Pentecostal song that I knew.
You were hilarious.
I honestly don't have a history with Pentecostalism, so I'm just like, okay, we could sing Nothing But the Blood, and I was thinking that will do it. Yeah. And then I was trying to figure out how can I get them from this into an encounter. So I was like dancing with an encounter and then going back to Pentecostal. I know. I was like, come on, here's Jesus. Oh, and back to the blood. But I had such a good time.
That was quite funny actually, because after that session, when we were on the way out, a guy grabbed me and he was like, he said, the worship, I was just in heaven. That was just my happy place. All of those songs that we sang. Yeah. And I thought, interesting. Yeah, interesting. Everybody defines heaven a different way.
Yeah, that's true. Well, that actually leads us quite well onto what we want to talk about today. Interesting that a man came to tell you that it was his favourite kind of worship and that he felt like it was heaven on earth. He was actually quite a passionate man. I think he spoke to me a couple of times.
Possibly.
about worship and how much he loved worship. And but I do have to say that is rare as hen's teeth, that a man would come and tell me how passionate he is about the sung portion of what we do.
Yes.
In a service. What do you have to say about that?
I think, well, in my history as a worship leader, I rarely had a man come with, if I'm honest.
Yeah.
My husband was always very appreciative because he knew I was pushing the envelope. But I rarely had men. They were appreciative I was doing it. They weren't necessarily appreciative of where I was pushing them to or inviting them to. Let me use the word invite, because push isn't a nice word. Not in worship, because there's a level of discomfort. So I probably, I found that men particularly used to often say to me, we don't need to be exhorted. We don't need to be encouraged into a different place, which is a whole world in itself. Yeah. Which led me to go away and think quite a bit about it is different groups of people, different age groups of people, and I'm going to say even men and women respond differently to encouragement and exhortation in worship. Yeah. And I'm not sure I ever quite cracked what men needed. Yeah. But I was aware of what they didn't like.
That's great. So if we think about the landscape, I don't know where everyone tunes in from, but here in the UK, the landscape really is that our churches are quite female dominated.
Yes.
Congregational wise.
Yes.
And that our men are kind of sitting at the back, sitting on their hands. They're less forward. They're less leading. Yeah. I don't know what it's like in America or in Canada or in any of those nations, but we then also have this top tier of worship leaders in the worship industry, or the most well-known worshippers, which is quite male-dominated in the world.
Yes.
So there's this kind of weird juxtaposition of, like, in the church it's not represented that men are the worshippers, but in the industry or in the elite of the worship world, men are actually still leading the charge. How have we managed to get there, do you think?
Gosh, that's a great question, Ollie. I don't know. I'd need to probably think about that more deeply. A few instincts I have, and that is that we're still probably comfortable, and may I even say men are more comfortable in taking the lead. I mean, even just the last couple of days, I was looking up on YouTube about teaching in relation to worship, and we're awash on YouTube with men teaching on worship. Yeah. But I have to really think about men leading worship in a way that I would think represents the fullness of what is biblical worship. So I do think in local church, generally, our women are much more demonstrative than our men. Yes. But that might be a British Isles, UK thing, as distinct from a worldwide thing. I mean, if you look across different ethnicities, men, they weep and they mourn together. Men express together. They worship together as men, rather than the women are segregated. I'm not suggesting that's a good idea by any stretch of the imagination, but it's just interesting from to look at it from a cultural perspective. You know, you think of the way that some different ethnicities, how the men dance together, particularly the whole Russian or Greek world or whatever. And you think there's something about men doing something together as men that they have it within their culture that simply for us, certainly in the British Isles, does not translate into the church. It doesn't. And generally we have men who are uncomfortable, I would say, and some women too. But if we're talking men, with the expression of worship, which I find really intriguing, Because even if we go back and think biblically, we have unbelievable, fantastic stories of levels of expression of worship by men in the Bible. Now, women also, and of course, actually you laugh at this, Ali, because I was thinking about expressions of worship this morning. So, of course, I had to play the Alabaster Box.
Oh, I love it.
I know, we've talked about that. So,
Cece.
Oh, Cece. It's just an incredible song.
I've come to pour.
I know. And there you go. There's Mary. I mean, just this incredible intimate worship that just breaks my heart every time I read the story or listen to that song. And I mean, the men were like, what the heck is she up to? This is crazy. This is ridiculous. Full of judgment and questions, as distinct from curiosity.
Yes.
But leaving that story aside, you've got right back to, Abraham with Isaac and the level of the depth of an action of sacrifice.
Yeah.
And I think that stirs something in men because they need a purpose. They need to understand the purpose of worship. So, I mean, that was a phenomenal one in Abraham's story and in Isaac's story, obviously, as well. Yeah. And then going on, even skipping way through to, our greatest example of a worship leader in the Bible is King David.
Yeah.
Now, he knew right from the intimacy of playing his harp in the courts of Saul, or, being out in the fields, his intimate relationship with the Lord. But then you've got the bonkers, wild story.
The best.
Of him bringing the Ark of the Covenant down from the house of Obed-Edom down to Jerusalem. And gosh, if there was ever a biblical story that I would have liked to have been there for, the fear of God.
It must have been a river of blood.
Well, not just blood, but guts. I mean, the slaughter every six steps. And David wildly, passionately praising God. And here he's a man. He's a king. He's a king, guys. He's not even just a lad. He is the king. And the level of responsibility he is taking. And then, of course, we have the story of, his wife looking and seeing Michal or whatever, however you want to call her. And this is so interesting because in her despising his worship, rendered her barren for the rest of her life. Never despise or judge a man in worship.
Absolutely.
We must not do that.
If we push into the David thought for a second. What you read of David in the Psalms is this, this man who has an ability to express his emotions to the Lord.
Oh, phenomenal.
So he never hides one emotion from the Lord. He's there pouring himself out before the Lord. It doesn't matter if he's angry at the Lord, if he's disappointed, if he feels abandoned. It's there on the paper in words like, Lord, why have you forsaken me? And so we have that, and then we have the whole journey through to him being king and then walking the Ark of the Covenant, and then this outward expression of his inward journey with the Lord. His undignified. How much has our Western culture of men should not cry? I mean, I suppose in a way, Gen Z millennials, we're trying to push out of that now. Yeah, I think we're on the cusp of birthing something new for men and expectations. Good. But for millennia in Western culture, men were just not allowed to express their emotions. It wasn't okay to cry. If you cry, you're weak. Yeah. And so we have generations of men who are shut down emotionally. So to me, it's actually no surprise that they can then express themselves in church. The only time that we see in Western culture our men really express themselves is in victory. Yes. So we go to the football. If you go to the soccer, if you go to we call it rugby here, and their team score, you've never seen tears, shouting, it's
wild
insane.
Expression.
And you're going, okay, so we could do this part.
They're hugging people they don't know.
Yeah.
They're kissing people they don't know.
Yeah.
They're throwing off their clothes.
I was just going to say that.
It's wild.
It's quite reminiscent of David in that.
Well, you're not wrong.
You know.
It absolutely is. But what a shame that we see that level of release in one place, but we can't see it in another. And I do think it's worth being curious about it, asking the questions about it. I mean, I do have some thoughts on that. I think there's great societal expectations of men that they will be, particularly in past decades, that they'll be the strong ones. We need men to be the unemotional ones who are
going to hold us together.
And exactly, we'll hold life together and let the women weep and wail and mourn and whatever. I think as well that there are cultural norms. I think particularly the British, the whole Celtic vibe. So Ireland, Scotland, Wales is a little different in the British Isles context, but we have the kind of stiff upper lip of the English particularly, which doesn't really allow for the wholehearted expression of emotions. I think as well there is a big disconnect for men between their actual feelings, which are there, if maybe a little buried, and the ability to express appropriately. And again, the fear of, if I express those emotions, what will happen? What will people think of me? How will it go down? So honestly, if the women will do it, let them get on with it.
Yeah.
And I'll just stay strong in myself. Having so said, I mean, the point of this is to be curious in terms of how we can be more responsible in leading worship in ways that pulls the fullness of everybody in, and that we can begin to overcome this challenge. And not allow just the women to take the main role in this. I do think there's lots that we can do to help one another. And I say one another because not just men. But help one another in our expression, so that we're not just going, oh, the men, why are they in the back row with their chewing gum and with their hands in their pockets? Or why are they hiding behind the sound desk or cameras or stewarding, or they have to have a job? Why aren't they just in the middle letting loose? I think there's things that we can do to help.
Go on, give us your top tips.
My top tips.
Worship leaders, listen up. Louise Reid is about to feed you some nuggets of wisdom.
Wow.
About how to engage men.
I hope so.
It is a challenge, even from my own experience of leading worship. I do tend to just think the men probably aren't going to join in. And I've probably settled a little bit in there thinking, I don't really know what to do. Is this my responsibility? Is it their responsibility? Is it their wife's responsibility to teach them about it? Or like where does it actually sit with me? And where does it sit with Jesus? And where does it sit with them? But obviously, I would love to do as much as I can to empower our men to worship.
I think we've got to change expectations, but it can't come as pressure. It must come as invitation.
Great.
That's the first thing I'd say. Second thing, at a completely different end of the scale, I think in our family units, we need to give our children, both girls and boys, emotional vocabulary.
Yeah, very good.
From a young age, being able to express their feelings about things. Now, it's so interesting. I had a conversation with my husband yesterday in the car because we were traveling. And I was just taking out a few things for just to see what he had to say. So I asked him about a few of his favourite characteristics about Jesus. And so he was saying a few, but it wasn't like any massive deal. Now, I didn't tell him why I was asking these questions. And then we started talking about a car that he used to have. Okay. It's an MGB Roadster.
Yeah.
Oh, it was white. Registration number VAI 85, because I remember it was a beauty. So I just started talking to him about it. And I just said, tell me what you loved about that car. And I kid you not, straight away he said, oh, the smell of the leather. He said, the sound of the engine. He said, oh, the lines of the car. You know, and he was doing this with his hand, like he was stroking the side of the car, et cetera, et cetera. And I laughed to myself because I just thought, what this is telling me is men have no problem with worship, no problem with appreciation, and no problem with finding the words in certain scenarios. So we got to help them bump it from one place into another. Taste and see that the Lord is good. You know, the smell of the Lord, the feel of the Lord, all our senses alive. Most men will be rabbits in the headlights, particularly older men, can I just say? I think the younger generations are doing better on this. But, you know, it's still there. Because the image of God is in them and the ability to worship is in them. They just don't always know how to. So I'm saying emotional vocabulary is really important and helping with that. The invitation rather than the push or the exhorting. And I do think it needs some men, and I'm going to say the older, the better. My husband would say that he never, ever in previous years had the inclination to do anything unusual in worship. But every time he did, which was most weeks, he chose to. Because he knew if he didn't, how else would the rest of the men know how to pick up a staff and to beat the floor in declaration or decree or warfare. So we need examples, and men out there, take whatever you need to do. We need to bring the wild dancing back.
We do.
The sound of worship. And can I even say, just in this, I do wonder whether we need to bring back men singing together. Why is it that in worship bands it's always the girlies?
It's true.
It's always the girlies. The men are hiding behind either a bass guitar or the drums or the sound system or something. Men singing together is a powerful weapon.
It is.
And I don't think we should limit what that can do in an atmosphere, what it can do in the spirit. And I'm just throwing that out there as another thing. I mean, men, find your way.
It's just trying to get them that are willing. You know, I've actually a very small team for our outfit. And I think I have only two men in a very strong female forward team. And it's like, they're so gorgeous human beings. They put up with us and they are so encouraging and they absolutely take part. But I can only find two. Find two in our whole congregation. And my contention is I actually don't know how to find any more. And trying to draw guys in to what we're doing. I'm really encouraged because on the worship school there is actually quite a lot of men that have signed up, much more than I thought there was going to be.
Well, that's brilliant. And maybe some of these things that through discussion and listening to one another, we can actually pull a few things out of, if we just did X, Y, and Z, we could shift an atmosphere so that it isn't maybe so strongly feminized, but men find it more comfortable. I mean, my experience is that where women flow more easily, men need more rhythm and meter and more of something that, dare I even say, has a more military sense.
Yeah.
Is more purposeful. And if they can find themselves strongly in that ground and feel secure and purposeful, I think then the whole level of vulnerability in whole other levels of freedom of worship will come from that. I don't think they're going to move into freedom of worship without being anchored.
Yes. Absolutely. I think we could do a whole episode on that thought of inviting them into the military sound of the church.
Yes.
But yes, I think we'll wrap it up there, and we will be back with another episode on on what it is to invite men, or just to invite a congregation into a more strategic sound of the church. Can you just bless our worship leaders?
Yes, and I would love to pray.
Go on.
So in Jesus' name, every worship leader listening to this, I bless you. I bless you with the imagination of the Spirit. And I bless you into the fullness of inviting people into, it's not even inviting people into a space, it's inviting people into Him. And I just want to speak to every man who may be listening to this, and just to say that God has a unique place for His men in worship. And I call your spirits to attention now that you will fulfill the task that the Lord has in worship, and that in worship, you as men will become more of who you are, transformed into His likeness, and you will know journeys in the Spirit like you could never have imagined. And I just bind all fear and all inappropriate weakness right now. And I loose over you a new confidence and curiosity to move in worship, to have the fullness of your being in worship, and to be with Him in worship, in Jesus' name.
Amen. Thank you, Louise. Join us on the next episode of the Prophetic Worship Podcast. We will see you then. Thank you for listening to the Prophetic Worship Podcast. If you want to keep up to date with everything that is happening with us here at GPA Worship, please go and follow us on social media, on Instagram or on Facebook at GPA Worship or Ali McFarlane Music. Additionally, we would love it if you would go and stream our music. You can find us on Spotify, Apple or Amazon, again under GPA Worship. Please like, share and follow everything that we are doing. And with that being said, we will see you on the next episode of the Prophetic Worship Podcast.